Chapter 304, Tongming River. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Square Commandery Prince's expression was somewhat unnatural. Carefully, he asked again, "Are you going to Underwater Dragon Palace? Do you have a problem with it?" De looked at him. His eyes were like two sharp swords. Somehow, Square Commandery Prince's martial cultivation was obviously above De's. She was overawed by De's eyes. She was slightly shocked. Underwater Dragon Palace is a very dangerous place. Only warriors at the Heaven Realm can enter it. What if you meet danger? De smiled. It is precisely because Underwater Dragon Palace is a very dangerous place that I have invited you all here. I need 1,000 warriors at the completion of the Earth Realm to come with me. I believe that all of you can help me with that. They hesitated and looked at Hukinai, who had lost an arm. They all replied in one voice, "We will help you find 1,000 completion of the Earth Realm warriors within 3 days. Zhang Tangai, who had been standing in the corner, instantly knelt down one knee. "I would like to follow the young master and go to Underwater Dragon Palace." De looked at Zhang Tangai plainly, like he could see right through him. He grinned. "Are you a 4-tricks genius?" It is quite amazing to have a 4-tricks genius in Omen Ridge. Omen Ridge was after all a small place, and its cultivation practice was relatively low. If the practice of cultivation was low, then the starting point was lower than others. And, the practice resources in Omen Ridge were also lower. So not only was the starting point lower than others, but the practice environment, the pills and masters who taught them martial arts, were far behind that of others as well. And under these conditions, Zhang Tangai had been able to become a 4-tricks genius in the Earth Realm. His talent was indeed incredible. The Earth Realm was just a stage of refining the body. The bones hadn't been fixed yet. In the Heaven Realm and the Fish Dragon Realm, there was still a lot of room for improvement. If a 4-tricks genius could enter a perfect practice environment and get the best training, he could become a 6 or even 7-tricks genius. Like Liu Exu, he had been a 2-tricks genius and eventually in the end became a 7-tricks genius. On the path of practice, your growth potential was not fixed at the very beginning. As long as you worked hard, and the right opportunities came along, your future achievements were unpredictable. Of course, if you laid down a solid foundation and moved forward step by step, your martial arts path would be much smoother, more solid and easier than others. After all, only 1 out of every 100,000 warriors would become a top master later on in life. However, 1 in 10 young warriors had the chance of becoming a top 1 master through honest accumulation. Certainly, De was the latter, and Zhang Tangai was the former. It was 10,000 times harder for Zhang Tangai to become a top master than De. Maybe he would be one of the 9,999 losers. Not everyone could become a miracle. At this moment, an old man wearing a bamboo hat and grey cloak came into the tent. He walked towards Hukinai, chief chairman of the Poisonous Spider Club, and spoke to him in a low voice. Hearing the old man's words, Hukinai's expression changed slightly. He looked like he wanted to kill someone. De's ears moved. He asked, "Chairman Hu, what's going on?" "Just a small thing." "It doesn't concern you," Hukinai said. "Big things are made up of many small things." "Isn't a grand person actually a small one who has stepped up?" De said. "It really is a small thing," Hukinai said. "Our undercover person in the black market of Devil Marshal City just found out that Zhang Yuochen has left Devil Marshal City." "Zhang Yuochen? Who is Zhang Yuochen?" De asked. "Zhang Yuochen is the top master among the younger generation in Omen Ridge," the chief chairman of the Poisonous Spider Club replied. "He is in this month's edition of the Eastern Region Report together with you. However, you are on the front page and he is mentioned in a small section on the second last page." "It is a small thing." De smiled. He was just a talent in Omen Ridge. De certainly wouldn't care about him. Square Commandery Prince stood up suddenly with an angry expression. "Young master, Zhang Yuochen is our black market's enemy. He has killed several of the black market's warriors of the Heaven Realm. It is because of him that our identity as the royal family of Square Commandery was exposed, and we suffered the sanction from the East Region Saint Mansions. We must kill him, otherwise, he will be a huge enemy to the black market in the future." De obviously did not care about Zhang Yuochen. He said, All right. If you want to get rid of Zhang Yuochen, then I leave it to you to handle. Don't tell me that with the strength of the royal family of Square Commandery, it can't kill a young genius. Di Yi's approval made Square Commandery Prince very happy. If Zhang Yuochen had stayed in the Devil Marshal City, we might have left him alone. But since he is out, I will cut him to pieces. Zhang Tangai said, I would like to give you a hand. It seems that Zhang Yuochen has made lots of enemies in the black market. You can go if you want, but never leak the information. If anyone dares to inform others about Dragon Sarira, don't blame me for being impolite, Di Yi said coldly. They all felt chills in their spines and showed inexplicable awe. In the entire tent, only La and Ziqian showed a glimmer of strange light in their eyes. In order to cover up the story, Zhang Yuochen, Huang Yanzhen, Duanmuk Singerling, Si Xingkong and Chen Xia left the town separately. They had decided to meet again at Tongming River. When he left the town, Zhang Yuochen felt like he was being followed by more than one group of people. He thought, just as I expected, someone suspects that I am going to the ancient cave from medieval times to dig up the treasure. I have to ditch them. I can't let them follow me to underwater dragon palace of Tongming River. Zhang Yuochen grinned. He rode a savage beast with the ancient abyss sword on his back. Suddenly, he sped up and rushed into a thick forest. Whoosh! The warriors following him quickly unleashed their body movements and chased him into the woods. But upon entering the forest, all they saw was a savage beast. They could not see Zhang Yuochen anywhere. Where is he? The whole forest is sealed, but he is nowhere to be found. Can Zhang Yuochen disappear into the ground? Keep looking, we have to find him. 30 kilometers away, the void space twisted slightly. It was like a circle of ripples. Swoosh! Zhang Yuochen walked out of the circle of half-transparent ripples. He looked back and continued walking. As long as he was a master of Space Warp's power, he could easily ditch followers. 4 days later, Zhang Yuochen was sitting in a small boat on the surface of Tongming River. He sat with his legs crossed, practicing 5-strike technique. This technique had yin cold nature and belonged to the sword ripple of 10 channels. The 5-strike technique was in his right hand. Zhang Yuochen drew characters in the air with his right fingers, forming streaks of genuine chi light. Tongming River is indeed an extremely cold place. It is perfect for practicing sword wave, he said to himself. The little boat sailed downward with the current and was very stable. Tongming River was an ancient river that stretched 100,000 kilometers. It ran through 42 commanderies. The river was wide, and its flow was slow. You couldn't see its end. It was like an ocean. If Omen Ridge was home to land savage beasts, then Tongming River was home to water savage beasts. Empress Kaiyao had sat on the throne for 500 years. The national power was getting stronger and more prosperous. Saints came forth in large numbers and practicing the martial arts had become very popular. Any land savage beasts who dared to fight with humans had been eradicated. In the whole Kunlun's field, humans were the most respected and all the beasts were hibernating. Humans had never been so powerful that they controlled almost all the beasts. Anything that dared to fight against a human was looking for death. Now, in all of Kunlun's field, with the exception of the wild place in the north, only the water beasts would dare to fight humans. Tongming River was certainly home to many savage beasts. There were 10 times more here than in Omen Ridge. The danger of an aquatic savage beast was no less than that of a land savage beast. They made trouble all the year round and destroyed human villages and towns along the river, especially the death section of Tongming River. It was a forbidden area for humans. Man would die if he or she came near. At this moment, Zhang Yuochen on his little boat was sailing straight toward the death section. He had an arrangement with Huang Yanzhen, Duanmuk Singerling, Chen Xia, Si Xingkong and Chang Kiki that they would meet at the Death City, the only human city in the death section of the river. Suddenly, large waves churned up on the water's once calm surface. The waves were more than 10 meters high. They were like water walls wanting to push the little boat into the sky. At the same time, the wind was blowing hard like a tornado. There was whistling sound. Oh woo! Savage beasts began to cry and growl. Their voices could be heard hundreds of kilometers away. Even the clouds in the sky cleared away with the sound of their voices. A giant black shadow lurched out of the water, exposing fierce scales. Each scale was the size of a palm. Bam! The water flow surged, beating the boat fiercely. The little boat was torn apart, instantly turning to sawdust. Xing Jiang Yuochen morphed into a white light and leapt into the sky. He applied genuine qi into his legs and stopped for a minute in the sky. Then he leapt higher, reaching a spot more than 30 meters above the water's surface. A giant black skull shot out of the water and opened its mouth. It wanted to swallow Jiang Yuochen in one bite. It was a Class 4 medium-level savage beast, the Black-Winged Anaconda. The Black-Winged Anaconda was an overlord in the water. It could come and go freely in the water, and also control hurricanes. It could make the strong wind blow and cause giant waves. If it was angry, villagers who lived within hundreds of kilometers along the river would suffer. Jiang Yuochen pinched his middle finger and forefinger together. The heart of the sword of Qi pool on his globula lit up instantly and formed into a force of sword comprehension. Phew! The ancient abyss sword let out a cry and flew out from his back. Like a dragon, it flew into the Black-Winged Anaconda's mouth. There was a whish sound,